In today's video, we're diving into a must-try seamless sweater knitting technique that allows you to have beautiful tailored structure without having to seam or sew anything together in the end, essentially creating items seamlessly and in most cases in one piece. I'm also going to share with you 5 patterns that fall into this category and some information on where you can find hundreds more. So if that sounds like just your cup of tea, get cozy and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Midweek Ramble. My name is Taylor, and I will be your host. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I took last week off to go on a spring break vacation with my family up the Pacific Coast to San Francisco, and we had a fantastic time. So if you missed some of the videos from last week, you actually didn't miss anything. I just wasn't here to upload as I was on vacation enjoying some time with my family, but I am back. And I have a fun episode for you guys today, and I'm talking a little bit about a particular sweater knitting construction that I have only tried once, but that has really piqued my interest in a lot of ways. And I want to get into that with you guys today. But before I get into that, if you are here for cozy and comfy knitting content, don't forget to hit the like button and definitely subscribe if you find something that you like here on my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and dive into this particular seamless sweater knitting construction technique that I think you're going to be into. Now, when I first started knitting garments, I felt like there were 2 major categories for how you could construct the garment, namely the sweater. That was to knit flat and then sew pieces together, or to knit seamlessly from the top down. That was pretty much the 2 major types of construction. Anything outside of that, I just wasn't familiar with. So I figured I was either going to be knitting a sweater in pieces and sewing it together, or I was going to have a raglan sleeve sweater that could be knit seamlessly from the top down, and there you go. But it turns out that there's a lot more going on than that, and that your options are really much more vast than that. And this is really exciting to me. And that's because even though I do love a really nice raglan seam sweater, I love the look of a set-in sleeve or a drop shoulder. I like having some variety in the caps on the shoulders, in the sleeve style. And it's nice to know that there's potential out there for knitting those particular constructions seamlessly without having to knit the garment in separate different pieces and sewing them all together. And one of those methods that allows you to achieve a seamless shoulder sleeve for a set-in sleeve is called the contiguous sleeve method. A shoulder with set-in sleeves looks like this. You see that the edge of the armhole sits right at the edge of the shoulder where it begins to slope over, and then the sleeve grows from that point in the sweater. Typically, if this work is being done flat, you knit your front, you knit your back, or maybe you knit your upper body all in one piece with an armhole, and then you knit an arm separately and attach it into the armhole. And that's how something can be done in a way that would be seamed. However, Susie Myers developed the contiguous sleeve method in 2010 that allowed knitters to create a seamless set-in sleeve sweater seamlessly from the top down without having to sew anything together. Essentially, you're building a sweater from the top down, starting with the shoulders and neckline, and then working out the sleeves and the body all in one piece. Myers developed this to kind of work as an alternative to the seamless raglan construction that provided a little bit more of a tailored look while not having to necessarily create a seamed garment, avoiding any extra bulk that the seams might create right there at the edge of the shoulder. Now, this particular method is known for its simplicity while also mimicking that really tailored look of a traditional set-in sleeve. In fact, it was specifically designed to create really smooth transitions between the shoulder and the sleeve cap to avoid any of that bulk that's usually created from seaming up a garment that was knit in pieces. Ideally, this technique is used for top-down sweaters. That's kind of the point here, is that you're able to create that set-in sleeve look with a garment being knit seamlessly from the top down. And what's really great about this is that you can try it on for fit as you go, which is a little bit different from Barbara Walker's seamless set-in sleeve. One thing about Barbara Walker's method is that when she shapes her sleeve cap or shoulder cap, she's using short rows to create that little hood that goes over that little sleeve cap, if you will. So she utilizes short rows. She can work from the bottom up or the top down. She's adding or attaching pieces together by picking up stitches in kind of a modular fashion, but essentially overall it really is seamless. I wouldn't say that it is one piece, but it is seamless in that you're not sewing pieces together. So it is referred to as a seamless set-in sleeve, whereas Susie Myers' method, the contiguous set-in sleeve, is truly one piece from the top down, and it is definitely seamless. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about Susie Myers' technique, there are a couple of places that I definitely recommend you check out. She has a Ravelry page where she talks about this technique, but she also provides you with, I don't want to say a pattern because it's not a pattern, but a recipe for how to do this particular contiguous set-in sleeve technique. There's also a link to a list that hasn't been updated since 2013 of patterns and designers who use this method in their designs. I'm going to be linking down below in the description box to a link that provides you hundreds more patterns that are out there using either the contiguous set-in sleeve or some other type of seamless construction that is not a raglan top-down sweater construction. So that's going to be a great place to go for this particular technique. But if you want to learn more about Susie Myers' technique in particular, you're definitely going to want to check out her Ravelry page where she talks you through this and she provides you with a recipe on how to essentially create your own top-down garment using the contiguous set-in sleeve. Now, if you want to learn more about Barbara Walker's method and all of her seamless sweater construction methods, you're definitely going to want to check out this book, Knitting from the Top. It's a great resource for seamless sweater construction. Now, I want to share with you 5 patterns that I'm loving that employ this particular contiguous sweater construction, essentially building a sweater seamlessly from the top down that uses a little bit more of a tailored style and not your traditional raglan construction. Okay, the first design I want to share with you is called the Sagin by Albina McLaughlin. It's a hybrid between a saddle, shoulder, and a raglan seamed sweater. It is seamless. It is from the top down. However, when I look at this, I don't see raglan as much as I see saddle shoulder, which I really love because it does have that lovely cozy vibe that a top-down raglan sweater does have, but you aren't getting those distinct raglan seams. You're not getting that effect of a raglan sweater pulling over your shoulder. There's a little bit more structure up here, and that has to do with that saddle shoulder construction, and that is developed here using that contiguous shoulder and sleeve method that was made popular by Susie Myers. It's really a beautiful thing. And when you look through the pictures of this particular sweater, you can see that being used. You can see that beautiful kind of, it's not a seam, but it's just, you can see the definition happening right here. There's an arch right over the edge of the shoulder. It's really lovely. It adds a little bit of tailored structure, not too much, but it does, in the case of this particular sweater, give it a nice saddle shoulder look. Okay, this next one has really got me excited. I don't know where this sweater has been, but I think it was released September of last year. It's beautiful. It's called the Cocktail. It's a cardigan, classic V-neck cardigan. It's a beautiful color here. I'm being lost behind the clouds. I swear to you, there were no clouds in the sky when I started to record today, but today, now, I'm recording, so the clouds are here now. So this is how it goes. Okay, I'm just adjusting my camera and we're rolling with it. I love this cardigan. It's kind of that classic V-neck cardigan for me. It even says on the description here, Cocktail is the classic V-neck cardigan that you'll want to wear every day. It's super wearable, looking at least. It says it's knitted from the top down with a contiguous set-in sleeve construction. And if you look closely at the shoulder of the design, you can see that it has a really lovely set-in seam happening right here around the sleeve cap or the shoulder cap or whatever you want to call this area of the sweater. It gives it a little bit of a tailored structure, but you're knitting it seamlessly in one piece. And I think that that's absolutely beautiful, especially on a cardigan like this one, because it really does have a tailored vibe. And I love the way that I don't even know, would you call that a faux seam? I think you would, because you're not actually seaming anything, but it is going to provide a little bit of additional structure because the stitches are going different directions. And I think that that's going to provide just a little bit more structure than it would if all the stitches were kind of being pulled over the shoulder like they would be in a raglan sweater. So this is really beautiful. This is the Cocktail by Tricot Designs MCL, and it's gorgeous. I believe this is a DK weight sweater. So beautiful. I'm loving this sweater, and it's knit with that contiguous, seamless shoulder seam technique. Okay, this next design I really love because it's something I've been wanting to knit for a while. I have yet to knit one, and I don't have anything like this in my wardrobe, and that is the Nola Slipover. This is a design by Svetlana Volkova, and it is gorgeous. What a beautiful slipover, combining kind of like a funnel neck, turtleneck situation with the sleeveless and somewhat cropped shape. Beautiful. And if you look at the shoulder detail, that is gorgeous. And this is again employing that contiguous sleeve construction. Now, I don't know, I mean, I guess looking at this, I would consider this a set-in sleeve. It's sleeveless, right? But for all intents and purposes, if you were to add sleeves to this, you could carry on with your sleeves using that contiguous method, and it would be beautiful. It says here in the description, Nola is a warm and cozy slipover knit in no time using seamless top-down construction. And looking at this, it's being knit from the top down seamlessly, but you're not stuck with raglan seams. You're not having to knit something as of a circular yoke. You have structure there at the shoulders. You don't just have fabric stretching around your shoulders like you do in a circular yoke sweater or a raglan sweater. There's a nice little faux seam going over the top of your shoulders here. It's just giving you a little extra something, and I love that. So that is the Nola Slipover by Svetlana Volkova. Beautiful. Okay, this next one I really love because I feel like there were so many things in mind when they were designing this sweater, but while they were keeping all of those structural things in mind, they were also keeping the knitter in mind who really wants to knit something seamlessly, trying it on as they go. And this is by Brooklyn Tweed by Jared Flood, and it is called the Neato Pullover. It's beautiful with these vertical brioche ribs. It's just so lovely. There's sleeveless versions here, little cap sleeve versions, elbow length sleeve versions. I'm seeing it on men and women. I really love this. It says here, worked in plush brioche stitch, the vertical lines of this beautiful fabric create the base for architectural details that highlight the garment's unique shaping elements. It says it's knit seamlessly from the top down, allowing the knitter or wearer to try the garment on while it is in progress. Now, Susie Myers, when she developed the contiguous set-in sleeve technique, that was her intention, was having something that can be knit seamlessly from the top down that you could try on as you go. And that's what's being employed here. And I think that's great. I think it's so beautiful. And I love that Brooklyn Tweed Jared Flood, who is very well known for lovely, structured, tailored sweaters, most often knit flat and seamed, because that's just kind of how you traditionally get that really tailored fit. But I love seeing this coming from Jared Flood and from the Brooklyn Tweed like family, I guess, because it just sends that suggestion that like, hey, it doesn't have to be seamed to be tailored. Not that we need, Brooklyn Tweed and Jared Flood to tell us that, but I mean, it doesn't hurt, right? And I think that this is just so cool, and it's such a beautiful sweater. It looks good on all of these people. And those shoulder seams, like, it's so cool. You would look at that and think that you're looking at a really nice tailored seamed sweater, but you're not. It's seamless from the top down. And that's something very special. Okay, the last one I have for you today is one that I've had my eye on for quite some time. This is by Petite Knit, and it's called the Sycamore Sweater. Not only does it have this amazing graphic kind of color work situation going on, but this sweater also uses that really gorgeous contiguous set-in sleeve technique. Now, I did mention Barbara Walker's seamless set-in sleeves. These particular designs I'm sharing with you today, for the most part, are utilizing the Susie Myers variety of contiguous set-in sleeves. I mentioned Barbara Walker because I feel like you ought to if you're going to mention Susie Myers and her technique, because I do feel like they're very often compared. However, what you're seeing here today in terms of what I'm showing you are using Susie Myers or some variation on that particular technique. And this one is the same. You can see here that we almost have kind of a combination of a saddle shoulder and set-in sleeve. It's a gorgeous shoulder. I love that saddle that you have up here, a little bit of structure added there, and then that really lovely shaping going around the top of the arm and the shoulder. It gives this sweater just a little bit of structure, but it doesn't sacrifice that all over comfortable vibe that we come to know from Petite Knit designs. And I absolutely love this. The description of this says, the Sycamore sweater is worked from the top down. The first section is worked back and forth on circular needles to shape the neckline. The yoke is shaped first by working shoulder increases from both the right side and the wrong side of the work while working flat. then with increases for the sleeves, and finally the raglan increases. The sleeves are worked in the round on double pointed needles or on a circular needle using the magic loop technique. The asymmetrical stripe pattern on the Sycamore sweater is formed by working short rows, specifically using the Japanese short row technique. That is amazing. Because if it was in Tarja, it probably would have just, I don't know, been a deal breaker for me. But I would love to know more about how to do that with short rows. That's awesome. A lot of techniques going on here to learn. Now, she mentions raglan here, and here's what I'm thinking. Albina McLaughlin has a design called the Versal. I actually started knitting this, and I'm going to be scrapping it because the yarn I'm choosing for that, that I chose for that, is just not ideal anymore, but I still want to knit the sweater. And she does something similar. And if you look at this picture here of the Sycamore sweater, you see that saddle, and then you see the seams going around the shoulder. That's essentially creating that set-in sleeve look. I may be wrong, but I don't think I am. Those are the raglan increases that she's mentioning in the description. She's creating raglan increases to create that sleeve. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, because I've never knit this and I'm just looking at this trying to understand what she means by raglan increases, but I have to think that's what she's referring to. And that's kind of what Susie Myers' technique is doing, is it's creating raglan increases around the shoulder. So I wouldn't necessarily call them raglan, because raglan is very traditional like this, but it's a similar idea. And so I love that. So the Versal by Albina McLaughlin does something very similar to this. You get that gorgeous construction and that saddle shoulder with these, kind of what looks like a set-in sleeve situation going on, but it's seamless, all in one piece, and it's beautiful. And this is definitely a sweater I have my eyes on. Sycamore Sweater by Petite Knit. I love it. And that is it. A technique that I definitely want to try. I really honestly want to work my way through Barbara Walker's book. She's the one who has the seamless set-in sleeve technique. That is the other one I was mentioning. However, I really love the idea of this other technique by Susie Myers because I love that it's able to be done from the top down. I prefer knitting from the top down. I've only ever gotten, 2/3 of a bottom-up cardigan, and I didn't like the process. I felt like it just seemed counterintuitive. You want to be able to try something on if you're knitting it seamlessly, and so I love knitting from the top down. And so the fact that this is seamless, it has that added tailored structure. It's knit from the top down in one piece. It all just ticks all the boxes for me. And I'm thinking that it's probably going to do that for you as well. Let me know if you have experience with any of these patterns or any of the patterns that you find in that link I provide in the description box. Because first of all, there's hundreds of patterns over there. But I would like to know more about your experience with this technique because my experience is very limited. My only experience doing anything like this is with my stripe height pullover, and this, in my opinion, is much more modular as opposed to this contiguous shoulder or sleeve technique. And modular knitting and what all of that means is a whole nother video. So this is as close as I get to having actual experience with this. But I will be changing that this year, and I'm super excited about it. So yeah, that was my rabbit hole of contiguous sleeve, the method, and some sweater patterns that fall under that category. All right, folks, well, that's it for me today. We've gone in and out of various different brightness levels. I apologize for that. The sun's back out again. It's just the way it works. But it has been great. My first day back after a week-long vacation. It's good to be back in front of the camera, hanging out with you guys and talking about knitting. I've got some fun things to share with you on Sunday's episode of the podcast, so definitely stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, if you took value or enjoyed yourself at any point during today's video, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, definitely subscribe, click that bell icon so you can be notified anytime I upload new content. And if you would like to help further support the work that I'm doing here at the Wool Needles Hands channel, head over to the Patreon. There's a lot going on over there. It's a great way to support the work, and there's a lot of additional bonus content and knit-alongs that you might want to be involved in. Until we meet again for Sunday's episode of the podcast, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.